Benchwarmers, it is a special Wednesday edition of the podcast. We're back live. We were live with you guys last night following game one of the Dallas Stars Colorado Avalanche playoff series. We had a lot to talk about, and that's going to be kind of the topic of discussion initially on this show as well. So hopefully you guys didn't get your fill last night. Even if you did, we are going to bring in a new perspective, just like we like to do with a lot of the different playoff series. Social media is a great tool. We've met a lot of good people. That's why we know the Variety Sports Network guys like we do. And social media came through again. I want to make sure that I get their it is the Starcastic Remarks podcast, which you can follow on social media at Starcastic R. It's a hockey podcast network. So when you guys hear us talk about Tell It As It Is, it's that same brand, same affiliation. And we have one of the three co-hosts. So I'm going to bring on my co-host, Nico Bryant, and I'm going to drop in Ryan from the Sarcastic Remarks podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. I mentioned it before we started recording, going live here, that you could have said no after the way things went last night, but you decided to be a trooper, and we appreciate it. So thank you for joining the show. We're excited to have you on, even though we're not necessarily the biggest fans of the Stars, but I'm sure you're not the biggest fan of the Avalanche either. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course, man. And, honestly, the hatred is what makes the hockey playoffs so much more fun, right? Like if you had two teams who don't really hate each other that much, like the Stars and the Kraken last year, we were so cordial with each other as fan bases, it wasn't as much fun. So it was just kind of like, so
yeah,
all good.
And Nico, I know that you remember, you had to talk me off the ledge, but it's nice that we get a repeat of this Dallas. I'm glad we get to run it back. I don't know how it's going to go. I really hope it doesn't go the way that it did last time.
Well, it's very, very fitting because I think these are the two best teams of the Western Conference easily, and obviously it's probably going to be the closest knit series outside of maybe that Carolina versus New York series. But yeah, there's so many fun storylines, whether it be Duchesne on the Avs or Big Val Duchesne on the Avs and going to the Stars eventually, and then Val coming here. There's a lot of blood in the water, as you like to say. So it's a very juicy series, and if the games continue like game one, there's going to be fireworks all throughout the series.
It was super even. Want to mention, make sure, once again, follow at Starcastic R on social media for your guys' show. You do the show with your brothers, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And how long have you guys been doing your show? We'll let you plug your content here a little bit, just in case we have some people who saw the stars tags that I put in on the video. What do you guys normally talk about, and how long have you been affiliated with THPN?
So we've been affiliated with THPN for quite a while. So when we started the podcast, it was the perfect time, to be totally honest with you. We started in August of 2020. So right in the middle of the COVID shutdown, and that was when hockey was returning. I was bored out of my mind, and I was just like, Chris, come help me. And he graciously agreed to do so. And that was just took off from there. That cup run by the Stars, which was good for us, not so much for y'all, but it really kind of started us off and made us realize, it was like, hey, this could go somewhere. And we've done it for about 4 years now. It's been so much fun. We've kind of expanded where we've gotten to. We've been on so many different networks, just joining pods like y'all's, and we're really starting to gain some traction, and we love what we do. It's just a side thing we do. We literally just started it because I wanted an opportunity to talk to my brothers, because I didn't get to do it very much. And now with this, I at least have an excuse to talk to him at least once a week. So that's kind of where it all started off. I never thought it'd get to where it is now. So
there's a lot of kindred spirits here, because we started the show around the same time, and Nico and I are not related by blood. Sometimes it feels that way. Sometimes I wish we were related by blood, because then our arguments would make a little bit more sense. But it is like that. I got an excuse. I know that it's just talking about sports, and it's just something that people now are trying to pay attention to on the internet. And yeah, it's not the biggest thing in the world. We don't have millions of people tuning in, but we have the people that like to tune in, and we appreciate them. And we get to meet shows and guys like you. And that's the cool thing about it too. Like we would have never been able to come in contact with each other if COVID hadn't happened and everybody started a podcast and we all got online. Like got super online. I'm so online. I know the Kendrick and Drake beef that's going on. I just have to. I'll post that. That's the viral video for the week. But yes, I'm that far on the internet, so it's nice to hear that side of things. Let's get right into it. Why does everybody hate Jamie Benn? Like, why is his face so punchable?
Okay, that is
honestly.
Yeah, that is a very fair question, and I'll be completely honest with you. It is a very fair question, and I'm gonna make this similar comparison to another player that everybody else hates, but he is absolutely beloved by his franchise, and that's Brad Marchand. Now, I'm not saying Jamie Benn is at the same level as Brad Marchand. He's absolutely not there. But when you look at how much he is adored by the Boston fan base, the Stars fan base is the exact same way. He's one of those guys that everybody hates him. Everybody hates him. And has he done stupid stuff? Absolutely. Look at Game 3 against Vegas last year. Let's not talk about that. But he makes himself beloved to his teammates, his fan base, and it's one of those guys that you love to have on your team. And if he was on your team, you would root for him. So like the Tom Wilsons, the Brad Marchands, the Jamie Benns, he's one of those guys. He's not one of those the really stupid, dirty players like I don't know, like Sean Avery, for example, just to throw that out there.
I was going to say along the lines of like Claude Lemieux, that's somebody our fan base would know.
Yes.
Hated him when he played in New Jersey and won that cup. But then he came to Colorado, and I love the fact that he ran Drury's face through the boards. That is totally clean. He saw eyes. I think he saw his eyes once that game. They looked at each other at the face-off dot or something like that.
Every once in a while, I will go back on YouTube and just watch a couple of those Avalanche Red Wings brawls. And man, I don't know what it is about with those brawls, but it was so much fun to watch.
It's an all-out UFC brawl. That's all you can say is like those fights are crazy. And Ryan, I got the next question for you. And obviously Dallas it's a franchise that moved, right? You were, and obviously what we've seen with Arizona and moving to Utah, and then we saw Winnipeg getting a team again from Atlanta. I wanted to know where your background comes. Were you a Minnesota North Stars fan? Were you just from the Dallas area, just wanting to love hockey and just embrace the team? How did that all come up from there?
I am a purebred Texas hockey fan. Like I've been born and raised in Texas my whole life. I feel very connected to the Stars because when they moved in '93 to the DFW area, Dallas Fort Worth, that was when I was born. So I am as old as the franchise is here in Dallas, and I have a very special connection to him. And I blame my father, who we call the patriarch, because every once in a while he'll make an appearance on our show. And he was the one that really got me into hockey. I was skating when I was 4, and I immediately fell in love with it. And, you know, it was much more successful than a certain football team in the same area. So, I mean, it was a little easier to get on there.
Yes, because you were at the unfortunate end of the greatness. And, yeah, you got Modano in there. No, there's reasons why the Stars have stuck in Texas. People didn't think that, just like how it hasn't worked in Arizona yet, people thought it wasn't going to work in Texas. It wasn't going to work in Florida. Those markets have produced. I know that it's only one championship, but hey, it was a championship that it was a market that nobody thought was going to be able to work. There's a reason. It's envy. It's not necessarily envy, but it's like competitive rivalry. You hate the person that's right next to you, and it always seems like the Avalanche and the Stars are running in the same race, and I can look over to my right, and it's like, just get out of the way. Just move over for a second, okay? It's my turn. It's my turn, then you're bad. It's brothers. That's all it is. It's just brothers. Brothers fight. Over the years, what have been your favorite moments of the Dallas Stars, and what have been the things that you look back on as a fan of the team? I probably have a good idea about one of them, but what are some of those moments that you connected with the Stars, obviously being the same age as the franchise? I saw that in your handle there, so it makes sense. But what are some of those moments that stand out as a Dallas Stars fan?
I was only 6 years old when the Dallas Stars won the Stanley Cup in '99, but I remember it clear as day, and that was 24 years ago. it's just that there's something about that moment. And I was also excited because my dad let me stay up ridiculously late for game 6. I think it ended at like 1:15, 1:30 in the morning. And
Brett Hull, right?
Yes, with Brett Hull, the controversial goal.
Skate was in the crease.
Yeah, Skate was in the crease, and we talk about that. But like that will live in my mind for forever, and that's probably my fondest moment of any of the Stars. But then you've also got the 2008 Western Conference semifinals. I believe it was against San Jose. And it was Brendan Morrow against Evgeny Nabokov in the 5th overtime. That was the most fantastic game I've ever seen. Just the pure goal and the pure energy that they had. It was completely off of just willpower from both teams at that point. And what's funny about that particular series is after Brendan Morrow won, the thing that everyone remembers is that ridiculous save that Evgeny Nabokov made on Brad Richards. Oh my gosh, I've never seen a save like that, and nothing will be repeated. And then to again, sorry, I know I'm in the wrong fan base talking about this. Y'all know where I'm going with this. 2020, against the Colorado Avalanche, the most of unlikely players, Yoel Kiviranta just getting the hat trick, the most of unlikely players. He played 2 games, I think, in that playoffs, and one of them was against the Avalanche in Game 7. I mean, those are the kind of things that stories are made out of, just like the David Ayers thing in Toronto. It's something that everyone, except for maybe Avs fans, I'm sorry, Avs fans, can get behind. It's just a really cool story. So that's my top 3 for sure.
To be honest, it wasn't necessarily the fact that it was you guys that beat us. It was the fashion that we gave up. We had the lead. We gave up the lead. We got the lead back, and then we gave up the lead again in 30 seconds. I was fried at that point. It was just an emotional roller coaster, and I said some things that I definitely shouldn't have said. I can't find them. I looked. I did a lot of digging. I did a lot of research into our Twitter page, X, whatever you want to call it. Could not find it, so we're just going to let those sleeping dogs lie there.
Well, to be totally honest, with y'all's goalie depth was obviously tested too. So that's a little bit of fairness to y'all with Hutchinson in net. No offense to Michael Hutchinson, but
every time we play you,
he's not.
that's not a name I've thought about in 4 years. I'll tell you what. We can go down a list of guys.
And your guys' guy that series was Anton Khudobin.
Oh, that's right.
I never would have thought that Dobby would put up something like that. He
was a wizard.
I've seen so many ridiculous like goaltending stories, like Marty Turco. He had 3 shutouts in a series and lost the series. That was one series that was ridiculous against Vancouver all those years ago. But that's probably the best goaltending, performance I've seen out of anybody in the playoffs. It was Dobby in that bubble run.
Yeah, and Ben Bishop was thought to come back. They tried to make that switch and it didn't go well. And I was hoping that they wouldn't make the switch back, but they learned their lesson. DeBoer, it's Game 7 with DeBoer. That's something that apparently is insurmountable if you get to that situation. Let's turn this thing around, because I do think that you'll probably bring over some more Stars fans. What do you want to know about the Avalanche? I think it's good for us to take a self-reflection look. What is our perspective in the markets outside of Colorado? We think we smell like roses. I'm sure that you don't think that.
Exactly. How much do you hate Big Val? How much do you hate Joe Sakic? Let me hear it all.
So, as a fan right now of the Stars looking at the Avalanche, I am absolutely disgusted in the fact that Big Val is able to score for you guys. In his last season, before he got bought out with the Dallas Stars, he had 52 games. It did not score a single goal. He has more goals in one playoff in one game, in each single game that he has played in these playoffs than he ever did in 52 games in his last season with the Stars. And it's not like he wasn't given opportunities. At the time he was playing with Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, who were the top 2 guys on our team at that point. So it absolutely disgusts me, but at the same time, I am happy for him that he was able to find his way out, and he's doing really, really well. And sometimes players just they just need a change of scenery in order for them to realize their full potential. And he has absolutely fulfilled that and more with you guys.
Yeah,
it seemed like he needed a little bit more than just a change of scenery too, because even with that change of scenery, he's had to go back and forth. But seems like he's in a much better place mentally and personal.
Yeah, he absolutely has turned it on. I don't know, maybe it's Bednar and this group, but I'm not sure what the leadership kind of thing is in Dallas. Obviously, it's Ben and Seguin at the top, but McKinnon and Cale have really set a standard, and I want to say ever since Duchesne left, that Val has just fell right in line. Obviously, we saw what happened last year when he didn't fall in line. I obviously have a soft spot for Big Val. He's the one that poured champagne down my throat from the Stanley Cup, so I have nothing but love for Big Val. But yeah, look, the difference between him and Dallas, it's very similar to it's just a change of scenery really helps, and I think it helps everybody. And when you look at a guy like Duchesne this series, also Duchesne was supposed to be the face of this team. He was supposed to be the next guy to wear the C. He was supposed to be the next sack. He's supposed to be everything for this franchise. He obviously Wall decides otherwise. He gives the C to Landy, and the rest is history. He gets pissed off that McKinnon's getting first line minutes over him, and he's a part of not the worst anymore. Thank you. I think it was San Jose who beat it this year. Thank you to breaking the worst point record in NHL history, making our lives a little bit easier. But he's part of that. You ship him off the next year, and the rest is history. McKinnon takes over. And like I said, I wanted to see what your thoughts on Duchesne and Shane has been and thus far for you guys. Obviously, he was a brand new addition. I saw a little bit, obviously, him in Nashville last year, and obviously the year before, a couple years back in Ottawa. What's your thoughts have been on him and how he's fit into that mold?
For him particularly, he, especially at the beginning of the season, he was arguably the MVP for the Stars at the beginning of the season. I'm not sugarcoating that whatsoever. We have been trying, just like you guys have found with Casey Middlestad, we've been trying to find somebody who could fill that second line role, because Tyler Seguin wasn't really able to do it anymore through no fault of his own, just because of his injuries. Duchesne comes in, and he doesn't just, come in and score goals like he has for the Stars, but he has made 2 projects for the Stars, and Seguin and Mason Marchment, who had an okay year, but just he wasn't producing enough at the amount of money that he was getting. He has taken both of those players, and all 3 of them had fantastic seasons, just regular seasons in general. Now they faded off towards the end of the second half of the season. That's when Wyatt Johnston kind of exploded under the scene, and Stankoven, and then Ben started raising his play, and we saw Robertson and others. But especially at the beginning of the season, nobody else was really scoring goals for the Dallas Stars other than those 3 guys, Duchesne, Seguin, or Marchment. And it was very, very common to see on the score sheet those 3 guys, goal, assist, those 3 players in some form or fashion. So he has been remarkable for the Stars. And the one thing that we're having an issue with him right now is he's not producing at the level that we need him to. And one of the things we've been talking about in the Stars atmospheric level is we've got players like Pavelski, Duchesne, and Hintz in particular. I mean, 3 big, huge, giant guys for this team who are just not producing right now in the playoffs. Like, Hintz has a goal, and it's an empty net goal. Duchesne has not been all that great. He's been okay. He hasn't lost us a game, but he hasn't been the guy that we saw at the beginning of the season. And that's kind of what we need right now.
He does a lot, and your centers absolutely killed us. I don't want to really switch over to the game, but I will just say, your centers have Duchesne is a part of it, but the face-off dot is huge. That's a big part of his game. He has the assist on the first goal from game 1, and I believe it was based off of a face-off win that he had in the offensive zone. So I wish that he was still here, and I did hate him for a long time. I guess I don't necessarily hate him quite as much. It's easy to say that I don't like him because of the team that he plays for, but it just didn't work out. But I was saying last night, Nico, I started giving the answer that you give, but he's the reason why we have Cale. He's the reason why we have all of these really good players that we do. We were able to build a new core around the guy that Wah correctly chose as our captain. There's not a lot bad that came out of that situation. It was bad for a second, That season was awful. That was my first year in broadcasting in college radio, and we had to try and talk about the Colorado Avalanche in the middle of the mountains with like 8 people listening on a transistor radio. And I was like, well, if we want to talk about it, they've won 20 games this season out of 82. 20. So that's where we are. Let's go in. Let's just jump into game one because we kind of transitioned into it. I did listen to your series preview. I listened to your post game following game one. So that's why I knew about the disappointment. You guys, you are very much like Nico and I, where you don't lack confidence in your team. It's good because we're fans. This is kind of the side that we get to show it. We have the microphone, so we get to talk about what we want to talk about. But you were very confident. Do you still feel that same level of confidence with the way that the game played out? It was good and bad on both sides. I would say Dallas definitely won period one. The Avalanche dominated period two that in that same fashion. Period three went back and forth. And then overtime, I feel like it was just one play that kind of separated things. How are you feeling following that game one overtime loss?
Now, I got to put this in context for you guys a little bit too, because you kind of have to look at what we had to deal with in the first round series. Oh my God. The emotional ups and downs roller coaster was ridiculous. Just the way we lost game 1 and 2 against Vegas, there were so many Stars fans that were, oh, we're done. We're done. And I was one of those few. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I am going to here because it ended up working. I didn't think we were done. Did I feel absolutely hopeless? Absolutely. Yes. But it felt like they were going to be able to bounce back in that series. Now, when you look at this series, here's an interesting stat for you. I didn't know if y'all knew this, but Pete DeBoer, we have had 5 playoff series since last year, right? We lost to Vegas in the conference final last year. We have lost every single game 1 in those 5 playoff series, and we've won 4. We won 3 out of the 4, and this being the 5th current one. So that I'm not saying that they're trained. There's like a storyline there, but this team is able to face adversity. And if there's any kind of adversity that we faced, it was that ridiculous first round series, man. That was not a second wild card team that we faced. So that's why. And they even proved everybody wrong. 99% of the Stars fan base proved them wrong. And that's why I still feel in their ability to be able to bounce back in game 2. And I will say this, though, and Stars fans won't like to hear me when I say this, but if we lose game 2, I don't see how the Stars would be able to bounce back and have a chance to win the series. I'd give them like a 5 to 7% chance to win the series. Because I don't feel that the Stars could go through that emotional roller coaster twice within the same playoff run. And if they do it again, yeah, I'll eat my words on that, but I just don't see it.
If they do it again, there's not going to be much meat on that bone left for whoever makes it out of this Canada series that started tonight.
And with like what you said with that 7-game series, it was so taxing. Like, you could see the legs in the end of the game, end of the first
second
game,
and third period, and that overtime play.
The overtime game, like Heiskanen is a hell of a scare. The fact he just got beat by Miles Wood, who's not the fastest of all people.
No, he is. He's the fastest on the team.
He's got sneaky fast speed, but I would not put him up there with Nate as in terms of.
I want to see them race so badly.
Scariness. You can see that, but what you said, I think hit the nail on the head. Like, the depth of this team is what helps you get past Vegas. And like I said, I think Ottinger is the best goalie in the NHL right now. I think it's him and Shesterkin are 1A, 1B. What the Avs have been able to do, like I said, you got to the Vezina winner more than likely in Hellebuck. And obviously they figured out, at least through one game, figured out Ottinger. I'm just very interested to see how the response is, because you could tell after that first period – that your team, Ryan, was just running off adrenaline. That adrenaline from winning Game 7. That adrenaline was still pumping through. The building was rocking. Glassbanger back there was losing his mind. And then the game settles down a little bit, and the Avs just slowly chipped their way back and ended up winning at the end. But this series is not going to be in my opinion, it's going to be a 7-6 shootout like it was against Winnipeg. I think it's going to be a lot closer of a series than a 3-2 games, 4-3 games, as opposed to the first one.
This is where my ADHD comes in. How do you feel? What are you, one of the on Glassbangers side, or do you hate the fact that Glassbangers is being talked about when the Stars are brought up?
How do I put this? I know Nick. I've talked to him a couple of times. And he knows this, so this won't be a surprise to him if he listens to this. But you can't mistake the passion that he has for his team. He absolutely loves this team, probably more than life itself. And I thought I was a super fan. No, this guy is ridiculous. He knows everything about everything when it comes to the knowledge of the Stars, just like I do, and everything. Now, some of this, I will say, some of the stuff he posts, and you can go look it up for yourself, and y'all are smiling because you understand and you know. I don't necessarily like some of the vulgarity that he has when it comes to some of his
9K on a professional date.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, right. So
I feel like that's the most polite way I could put that, honestly.
So I like Nick a lot. He's a great guy. But maybe tone down the vulgarity just a little bit, man.
It was very, very swan songing when Miles Wood hit the game winner, and I look over and the bank sign just lowers and he sits back down. I'm like, oh, that's very, very poetic. I got a nice chuckle of it because obviously both Jimmy and I listened to Chicklets and we've heard everything about this guy from their perspective.
The chick who sits behind the opposing coach's bench at your guys' bar.
Gosh.
Those are the two things that every time Biz talks about the Stars, that's like what comes up first. So that's I will say he has kept the Stars relevant for me. I've turned on a couple Stars games, just check it out. See, let's see who's at the barn tonight.
Yep. That she only shows up for the playoff series, though. I'll tell you that. So, okay. And she was. It's not like it's just been this year. I think it was even when Bonus was still our coach. The last series, the Calgary series where Otter went nuts. She was there for that series too. So
yeah, well, that's nice because it makes sense because like DeBoer kind of gives off that Sean Connery vibe a little bit. It'd be hilarious to see that chick standing next to Rick Bowness, like the most henchman looking guy of all time. And then you have former James Bond and Peter DeBoer. We have current James Bond. You guys have former James Bond. Yeah, I feel like that's how I'll classify that there.
That's fair.
Back to hockey. What do you see out of this? Do you truly believe that your decor is deeper than the Avalanche decor?
I'm going to say no. And it's pretty obvious in my personal opinion. When you got Sean Walker, who's playing, a good amount of minutes for you, and I'm not sure, is he your what you would qualify as your sixth defenseman?
Jack Johnson 6.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But still, Jack Johnson is still playing more than our number 6. And that's been a huge storyline that everyone has talked about. Pete DeBoer has kind of found that 5-man rotation has worked pretty well, and he sprinkles in Lundqvist every once in a while to give those guys a rest. I just don't see how you can look at the depth of the Colorado Avalanche on the blue line and say that the Stars are better. Now, I think we have a little bit maybe different variety than the Avs do. I mean, ever since Tanev has come, and that has been the absolute best trade deadline acquisition by anybody, in my personal opinion. And again, I know I'm being a little biased, but the things that he does for the Stars and what we were lacking before he came, he has literally filled in all of the holes in the boat, and where it's not sinking anymore when it comes to our decor. He has transformed that decor for the Stars. So long story short, answer's no. I think that the Avs have a lot more talent on their blue line than the Stars do, even though we have Miro Heiskanen.
Do you think that with obviously a different series, obviously the series against the Avs is a lot more different, a lot more fast paced, a lot more up and down, as opposed to Vegas, where it's a lot more grinding out? Do you think that DeBoer will make that decision to have a 6th defenseman in the rotation more consistently? Because obviously, like I said, it's when you play a team for at minimum 4 times in a row, it can be very, very tasking, especially a team coming off 7 games. Do you think that you might see 6, or even maybe they'll win a 7th eventually and take someone else's spot forward away, just because of the speed of the Avs?
to make it the question a little simpler, a seventh defenseman, no, that's not happening. DeBoer likes his four-man unit, and it's hard to take out some of the forwards because all the forwards have been very good. Even Ty Dellandrea, who got pulled out in Game 7 against Vegas, he was really good in Game 6. But as for a sixth defenseman, that has been a huge talking point for me and my brothers on our podcast. It's like there has got to. I mean, we've been going through our depth chart and like thinking, even at the AHL level, there's got to be somebody who can play more than 3.5 minutes a night or 5 minutes a night.
Is it truly that bad that you have to take him off at 3.5 minutes? Is he giving up high danger scoring chances within that short amount of time?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that because the prime example is Game 7 against Vegas. We were up 1-0 going into the second period. It's like the final 2 or 3 minutes, and he had probably had maybe 3 or 4 shifts. And the one shift that he got at the end of the second period cost the goal. And if you go and watch that goal that I don't even remember who it was, might have been Howden who scored that goal for Vegas. And that right there, I was absolutely pissed off. I was like, I never want to see Nils Lundkvist on the ice again because like that right there, thank God for the fourth line and being able to score a goal at the beginning of the third period because that could have changed the complexion of the game. And maybe I'm not here talking with you guys about the second round. I'm dead serious. Like that one play where he got beat defensively, which that's in his freaking position name, defenseman. He got beat and he plays 5.5 minutes a night. That's when especially in our series preview, we just hammered down. It was like, please find somebody else. And then Pete DeBoer comes out the next day and says, there's not really a better option right now. And I'm like, I disagree, but I can't argue with a guy who's gone 8-0 in Game 7s. So if he thinks this is the way to go and the 5-man rotation is it, I'm kind of with you a little bit, Nico, and the fact that I don't think this is sustainable even through this series. But who am I to argue with the coach of the Dallas Stars who's gone 8-0 in games?
It's sorry. What you just said about Lundkvist is basically word for word, bar for bar, what I said about Georgiev after Game 1. I was like, please don't ever wear no uniform. Please do not throw this motherfucker in net again. I cannot sit here and watch the first 5 shots all go in and losing my mind. But obviously, he's obviously grown on me and played outstanding since Game 1. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting take because, like I said, these coaches, they know their teams, right? They know their teams. DeBoer obviously knows the team more than anything, but it's interesting how teams see different fits for different matchups. Because, like I said, a different match. Like I said, when we played Edmonton 2 years ago in the playoffs, it was much more grinding out. We had obviously Frankie in net. It was a much better series for him, and defensively it was a lot more adjustment. So I'm just interested to see, obviously, because it's only Game 1. There's a long series to go here, so I expect a lot more adjustments on both sides. But like seeing Wagner for the Avs the other night instead of Kovalenko or instead of seeing Kerry Vanta was interesting to me. So those are smaller things that I'm very interested to see how it goes throughout the series.
Yeah,
I think last thing for the actual series is that I am still very nervous. There are still things that haunt me, and that Vegas series, I'm glad that it wasn't Vegas because that was a little bit worse going up 2-0 and then going 4 straight and getting swept after that. It's definitely not out of the woods. By no means am I sitting here saying that Colorado Avalanche are going to walk through. I don't think they're going to get Game 2 in Dallas. There's no way. A team like Dallas with that amount of experience, the coach that they have, everybody, it's going to be well known that this is not a must win, but like you have to respond. And the fact that you basically, I'm not going to say I don't feel the same way where you kind of gave it away. I do think that the Avalanche did enough to earn that victory. But it was a disappointing Game 1. You have to respond. You have to bounce back. If you don't win this game and you go back to Denver down 0-2, that's going to be a hell of a hill to climb. And you mentioned it already. Doing that back-to-back, you already have to play the 2 back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions in 2 back-to-back series. Doing that and going down 0-2 to start both those series, probably not your best plan of attack.
And to help Ryan out, like if you do get through these 2 series, like especially against the Avs and against the Vegas Golden Knights, you're tested for anybody. straight up. You'll be more tested for Edmonton. You'll be more tested for whoever comes out of the East. Like that, I would not be surprised at all if Dallas goes on a run if you beat us. It's 100% that way because of, like I said, the man rocket of fucking Wyatt Johnson at 20 years old. Robo over there, who's I think one of the most underrated players people don't talk about enough in hockey, and the depth is just crazy. And like I said, this team is not to be taken lightly. And if they do get past us, like I said it. Not many teams can say I beat the last two Stanley Cup champions in back-to-back series on my way to the Cup final. That is very, very rare. You're able to hear that, and if you're able to do it, then you are set up perfectly.
In the last 4 years, the Stars have made it to the playoffs. They have lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champions 3 out of 4 years. So it is so frustrating sometimes, and. Like one of the things we look back at, the biggest one I look back at the most is 2019 Game 7, freaking Jordan Binnington against the St. Louis Blues. Speaking of guys who I just hate, he's not in the same category.
Amen. Amen, brother.
All right, there we go. Hey, there we go. Jamie Benn had a wraparound, and I'm not joking. There was like maybe an inch of that red line that the puck was still on. And then they go the opposite way 5 minutes later and end up scoring. I think it was Tarasenko, but just those things like that just continue to haunt me. And this is the best team we have had in a very long time. And I would go all the way back to 1999. I know that they won the conference in 15-16 with Lindy Ruff. It's not the same. It's not the same. That team was only running gun and it was all offense. This team that we see right now as Stars fans, they can play any kind of style. And that's why I'm very confident in my team and their ability to play, because one of the things we talked about after Game 1 was just the difference in style, just how different it was playing Vegas and playing the Avalanche. It was night and day difference. I'm not joking. And I mean, we actually had room to skate for a little bit, and that's not a slight at y'all at all. It's just that with Vegas, they gave no room whatsoever. There was no room, zero. It's either you rammed through the Vegas Golden Knights or they rammed through you. That's literally all it was. And it was low scoring and all that sort of stuff. And obviously with this first game, it was the complete opposite. I mean, 4-3, I think we had 7 goals in like the last 4 games of the series against the Vegas Golden Knights. So it's going to be a fun series. If I'm being honest with myself, I don't see how it ends in 5 or 4. I think this is going to go to 6 or 7. And I even said that about the Vegas series too. I was like, despite what people say about the fact that Vegas is the second wild card, and yeah, they cheated and had all the LTIR stuff. I won't open that box of worms, but like you could see it going into the series that it was going to be a tough series. It's the defending Stanley Cup champions. They have that mantle on their back, and you guys still have that as well. I mean, I know it's 2 years ago, but it's still there. The same people are still there. You still got Valley, you still got McKinnon, Rantanen, and you've even got some of your bottom 6 guys who have still been around for the last couple of years. And so it's going to be a fun series. And I honestly have no idea who's going to win the series. If you asked me to bet money on it, I couldn't, because it's going to be too close.
Prediction for Game 2. Can we get that before we go through some of the possible problematic tweets that might end this on a little bit more sour of a note than it's been?
How about do you want a real one or do you want a fun one?
Let's go. We'll do one real one, one fun one. We can all do a real and a fun one. Why not?
Oh, okay. Real one. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be 3-1 Dallas, but with an empty netter. So really 2-1. Fun. I think it's going to go to double overtime, and it's going to be Wyatt Johnston who gets his second overtime goal, and it's going to be 5-4. That's the fun one.
That kid is so much fun to watch. As a bystander, he's unreal. He's going to be so damn good for so damn long. He's unreal. I would, and if I expect us to lose Game 2, and I think I go right along with Ryan. I think that it is another 2-1 with the empty netter, because I said it all last series for the Avs. Hellebuck's going to steal one game. You gotta think Ottinger is Ottinger's just as good, if not better than Hellebuck. He's gonna steal a game here eventually. Why not have it be at home? So if you can get one on him, get two on him, get on him early, it's going to obviously favor us in a certain way. But I think it's going to be a much lower score game. So I'm right there with you.
You got a fun prediction? You want to predict something off the wall?
6-5 Avs. Stupid high score.
Okay.
Georgia.
It's either going to be
Georgia and Ottinger both get pulled. There's a fun one.
6 on 6.
Let's just play without goalies. Let's put 6 skaters out for both sides. Josh Manson likes to play goalie anyways. That was can we acknowledge that for a second?
Oh geez. That's
the second play that he's done. That's the second time he's done that in the playoff run. He did that against the Blues and it worked out.
Man, that lives in my nightmares right now. I'm not joking. I went to sleep that night and I was just like, I literally had a dream about that. I was like, oh my gosh.
How did that pop up right between his legs?
I know.
Right between his legs.
Well, at first I thought it was Georgiev who got it. And I was just like, oh my God, what a stop. And then I saw it was Manson. I was just like, oh, that just makes it worse.
I am going to go. I'll say 2-0. Stars. I feel like there's going to be one time where this Avalanche offense just gets figured out because DeBoer, I feel like he uses game one. I said Georgiev, I feel like uses game one to kind of see the shots that he's going to be facing because I don't know how he always just looks so bad in the first games of the series. I think DeBoer kind of figures things out. They'll probably have a good plan for the offense, and Jared Bednar is going to have to go back to his whiteboard when the series shifts back to Denver. So I'll go 2-0. I do also think there's going to be an empty netter in there. But I said it on our post-game show. You guys are just so damn big. Like everybody. You don't think of Sagan and Jamie Benn as that big of guys, but when they're standing in front of your goaltender, you're like, dude, get your big ass out of here. I just don't want you around. Don't touch my goalie. Get your giant ass away from Val. Take care of it. Manson, I need him out of here. Please. Just get these giant ass guys off my thing. Fun prediction. Jonathan Drouin comes back early. How about that?
Oh, that was a good one.
He skated today is what I was told. So
and he didn't get mentioned on the broadcast. I know that you guys got a lot of guys injured that are looking to come back later on in the series possibly, but Jonathan Drouin deserves to get at least mentioned as a part of those guys that are currently unavailable for the series. If he's in there, that adds a whole nother element, just like if Hakanpää and those other guys that you guys are missing right now. If they were in the series, it would add another element to it. Let's move on. I'm going to pull up. I can't remember which one I'm starting with, so I'll just go here. Does not make me happy that I had to root for the Vegas Golden Knights, but it was against Jamie Benn, so I felt like it was justified.
That one's very, very freaking modified.
That's a funny one. I enjoy that one very much now.
Yeah, now, yes. No, because you guys did end up going on. That was the series directly after the debacle that I had. So that one wasn't necessarily as mean-spirited. Like I said, I couldn't find the really mean ones. I don't know where those ones went. What is this one? I feel like I guess I pulled up the same one twice. I'm still learning this new trick. The last one Nico's going to get a kick out of. So here we go. I didn't appreciate how much you guys like to play behind your net. That was when you made it to the finals against Tampa. That was like every single breakout. You're just lining up behind. Kept seeing, oh, flank V, we're gonna do it. I was not happy with you guys, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, this is. I'm enjoying this very much. So I'm
sorry.
Yeah,
those are the ones that I feel like were worth sharing. Like I said, majority of them got scrubbed. Like your fan base took care of a lot of the really obscene ones that they could have ratioed me. So I guess I appreciate them for that. They could have exposed me for freezing cold takes. They just decided to make sure that nobody can see some of the nasty things that I was saying. Ryan, we're not going to take up any more of your time because I know that you are a little bit ahead of us time zone wise, but we do appreciate you coming on and bringing your personal, you do have expertise. It's your team, but it's nice for us to show our fans. Like there's a ton of other shows just like us out there. Like if you have passion about your franchise, if you have the ability, you have the people to talk sports with, it does. It gives you an excuse to talk sports with people that you enjoy spending time with. So we appreciate you coming on. This was a really awesome glimpse into what the Dallas Stars are like behind the scenes, outside of the 200-foot rink that we have to absolutely despise you guys. And I have really enjoyed listening to your show, taking up the last few episodes. I'll continue through our series, and we'll see who gets to continue doing those post-game shows in the playoffs, I guess, after the next couple games. But I appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely, me guys. Again, I really appreciate it. It's especially in our society today, it's hard, when people disagree on things like that. And I know it's just sports, but it's you got to get rid of that aspect of, oh, well, I have to hate that person because of XYZ. Everyone's human. So I do appreciate you guys having me on here just to show that there are reasonable Stars fans. Like a majority of us are reasonable. We might troll you sometimes, but I swear we are actually reasonable. I promise.
Same goes the other way. I can't appreciate it enough, Ryan. Like I said, we love having different opinions because, like I said, I've been accused of being a homer and a home writer more times than I can count this week for all my Nuggets takes. So it's very, very fun to have different opinions. And obviously the Stars are a very, very great franchise with a lot of great players. So it's fun hearing that. So I appreciate it, Ryan.
Of course, man.
All right. Be sure to check out the Starcastic Remarks podcast with Ryan and his brothers. You can follow them at StarcasticR on their social medias. They're also part of the Hockey Podcast Network, so check them out. You guys have a website too. I don't have the URL offhand. You want to plug that real quick before we let you guys go?
It's literally StarcasticRemarks.com.
SarcasticRemarks.com. Check it out. We appreciate it. We're gonna stick around and talk a little bit more about the rest of the playoffs in the NBA.